All right, looks like we've had quite a good group join in here. So let's go ahead and get started. For those of you that just joined, welcome to today's Skills Kickstart session on inventory management. Your presenter today is David Jarvis. He's got some great content to cover for you today. We're super excited for the session. Hope you are too. My name is Jocelyn, and I will be your facilitator today. We want to make this session as interactive as possible, so please put any questions you have throughout the session in that chat or the Q&A feature, and then we will have some time at the end too to answer any questions that you have. And with that, I will hand it off to you, Jarvis.
Awesome. Thank you. Hello all. My name is David Jarvis. I'm a customer support engineer here at Encompass. Today, we will go over some basic structure and setup for inventory management, some methods and tools such as inventory counts and directed inventory counts. And our goal today is to showcase the range of inventory management options for you to apply within your warehouse. Good inventory helps all aspects of your business. When it is easily accessible and accurate for all parties, it will empower your sales team as they might not try to sell product that you don't have or constantly call in asking if you have product or inventory of a certain product. It'll create good basis for valuation. Inventory has a huge financial impact on your company's finances. So having a good valuation will help the teams that handle your company's accounting. It also drives warehouse efficiencies. When your replenishers, receivers, pickers, and beyond are all in tune, it will ensure that you're able to handle your operations smoothly. Also, it helps quality management, and this could be quality of life, quality of work, quality of product, and all of these qualities help ensure your product moves out the door and money comes in efficiently. Next, we'll talk about some structure and setup, and we'll start with important tables. So we'll begin with the products table. The products table holds the wholesale units per case, your code date formats, and packages. Wholesale units per case are important because when it's greater than one, that means you are doing business with this product in terms of eaches as well as cases. So getting good inventory really relies upon, am I counting the eaches, am I counting the cases, and so on. Next up is the inventory table. This will connect to the purchase trans table, which we'll talk about, but it'll show you the current selling layer. Also, it'll show you the on-floor inventory. The purchase transaction table is important because it is that current selling layer. It'll show you how many units remaining of that current layer, also the pallet configurations. The pallet configurations are very important because these are your cases per pallet and cases per layer. These fields do also live on the product, but the system will look at the purchase transactions first, then the product if those fields are not filled out on the purchase transaction. So let's take a look at what I mean by that. So we'll start with just an example product, something that's kind of in season now, a pumpkin spice seltzer. On the purchase transaction table, those fields that I mentioned, cases per pallet and cases per layer, as you see here, there's some of these fields are filled out, and some of them are different. So we've got like 104 and 13 and 120. Some of you may be familiar with doing an inventory count or receiving on the handheld, and you see little tabs at the top with different pallet configurations. This is what drives that information. I've spoken with many customers as to why they're showing these and where it's held. So this is where it's held. What happens is you may receive a pallet configuration from a supplier, with certain quantities, but then they change it up and they never do that again. Well, we want to hold that information because you may do counts and still have pallet configurations of the old one. So we want you the ability to, count with the old way and with the new configuration. If you find that you no longer have any pallets of the old configuration and you don't want that tab there, you can go to the purchase transactions table and edit these fields to either make it to be the one that you currently have, or you can delete them out to make them blank. This will not have any negative impact on historical data. We also have the bin zones table. Bin zones are just groupings of bins that kind of function and behave similarly. So that's what a bin zone does. It controls the behavior of bins. It also has a field include in on-floor inventory. This is important because some bin zones you don't want to include on-floor inventory because they're not sellable. It also has a bin zone type like receiving or picking or staging. Also where you can require pallet tags. We'll go over that more in a minute. We also have the bins table. This is more of the physical floor location of the bin, where your product's located. It contains things like capacity. Also, one of my favorite tables is the bin inventories table. This is where you can hold code dates, quantities of connecting a product to a bin. Also, it really helps with investigation if you have some inventory issues or questions on where a product is or why it isn't where it is. So let's take a look at that table real quick. So let's use this example, a seasonal example product, again, of the pumpkin spice seltzer. On the bin inventories table itself, filtering to that product, you'll see all of the bins that this product lives in. Say you were to go, all right, I want to look at a specific bin and I'm curious to know why the system is showing it has the inventory that it does. It has a link to a very, very, very good dashboard called the bin audit dashboard. You can get to it by this audit link right here. So if you click it, it gives you a very user-friendly view of the bin trans associated to that, product and bin. So as you see here on the upper left, it has the bin, then the product, and then a start date. So you can adjust the start date to look at, all the bin trans and movement of this product in this bin, back, say, at the beginning of the month. But it's really helpful because it tells you what was done, how many units, who did it, and when. It can help lead to the questions, say, hey, Jarvis, I was expecting there to be zero, cases in this bin, but I see you did an inventory adjustment on 9/11. Was that intentional or what? And, it can help your investigation help lead to the corrective actions. We also have what's called bin count tasks. Bin count tasks is something that we'll touch on here in a moment, but it is a table that is really important for our non-WMS location customers. It's how we recommend counts are created and reconciled. It also holds things for the WMS location customers for things like the route count in or directed inventory counts. As mentioned previously, we have the bin trans table as well. What we just looked at was the bin audit dashboard, which is like that user-friendly view of the bin trans. But really, what the bin trans is showing you is the flow, the movements of this product, from one bin to the next. It has quantities, locations, and as mentioned before, the bin audit dashboard. Lastly, we have the inventory daily table. This is more of the aggregate of all of your inventory for one product on a given day. This is really powerful just for mainly reporting historically on what the inventory was. It doesn't have all the little details like the bin inventory table does or the inventory bins report. So this is really helpful with those supplier reporting type situations.
Jarvis, I do have a quick question for you. I'm going to
Yes,
take you back to that bin audit dashboard.
of
Does
course.
the start date on that bin audit dashboard determine how far back you're looking at audit records?
Yes. Yep. So this and when we say audit, this is really the term audit is used in multiple times within Encompass, lingo. This is really how far back it goes on the bin trans. So if you did a move, say on 9/1, it would show, for example, that's what that start date. It's this. Yes, it's an audit, but yeah, it's like the timestamp of when this move was completed, when the bin trans record was created and done.
Awesome, thank you.
Mhm. So some may question, what is WMS versus non-WMS? WMS is an environment where a single product may live in multiple bins within a warehouse at the same time, and discrepancies and variances are held within the adjustment bin. So what we mean by this is you could have multiple pick bins and have this pumpkin spice seltzer. It could be in two pick bins, three different backstock bins, your adjustment bin, your receiving bin, all at the same time. Non-WMS is that individual pumpkin spice seltzer can only live in one single warehouse bin at a time. Often products are in the pick bin because you don't necessarily need to specify individual bin names. If you have questions on what am I WMS or not, this is held on the locations table and in the field multiple bin inventory. It's set to WMS or non-WMS. We also have something called bin lots. This is set on the bin zone require pallet tag. What bin lots are is when you receive a product, it will capture all the quantity per a given expiration date. And you can require that anytime you do a move, that you have to scan that pallet tag. It's also, you can set it to be optional where, for whatever reason, if you can't or anything, there is an option for optional. We also have what's called license plates. This is a more granular bin lot where it's specified to a physical pallet. So you could have, whereas a bin lot is, say, 1,000 cases for a certain expiration date or code date. Excuse me. License plate are, in essence, miniature bin lots where it's this code date for this pallet. The pallet's 100, say 100 cases. Then another pallet of the same product could be the exact same code date, but it'll have a different license plate because it's unique to that pallet of 100 cases. Also, we have production inventory. Our production customers may have to take inventory by weight and volume. So that's where package setup comes into play, and it determines the unit, what units of measure we're going to use for that. Also, there's work in progress needs to be have inventory captured and things like that. Now we'll dive into methods and tools. As you saw before, I'll be jumping between tables. Now I'll be demoing the handheld view as well as jumping back to the slides. Good inventory starts at the beginning. As you physically receive trucks and products into your warehouse, you'll want to make sure you receive those purchases within the system and complete putaways to move that product from the receiving bin to their storage locations within the warehouse. This means you'll want to keep an eye on your receiving bin to ensure that your team's physical moves are being inputted into the system and you're starting off with correct inventory. This can be managed through the inventory bins report and filter to a specific receiving bin or receiving bin zone type. And question, your team if products are still in that bin that's like hours after you physically received and moved those products. So we can take a quick look at what that can look like. And so this is the inventory bins report. What I've done is filtered to the bin zone type of receiving. You can also, if you know your receiving bin's name, you can just type it in here. Once again, I've filtered to that pumpkin spice seltzer product. And we can see that this pumpkin spice seltzer product is in the S receive bin and it has inventory of 460. Well, as a supervisor or manager, and you see that and you're like, I do know that we received this truck and physically moved it hours ago. Why is it still here? So that could lead to questions, to make sure your team is like, hey, guys, make sure that as you're physically doing these moves, you're also inputting it in. Because what you don't want to have happen is you start a bin count and for this product in the bin, and you say, oh, we have 460 when the system is showing 0 because a put away hasn't been completed. Then you're going to be dealing with your adjustment bin and maybe a write-off that shouldn't be happening. So making sure that the team gets the stuff moved will help you start off on the right foot. Next, we'll go into inventory counts. We'll start with non-WMS inventory counts, which are handled through the bin count tasks. Bin count tasks still apply to WMS locations, as mentioned before, as that's where your route return counts are held, and if you're using directed inventory counts. But the recommended workflow for our non-WMS location customers are to use bin count tasks, and there are great help resources available for the setup, completion, and reconciliation of these bin count tasks. So if you have any questions on that, please refer to the help resources and they will definitely help you out. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at what a bin count task looks like and how to set one up on the desktop. So we can navigate to the bin count tasks table. You should see a list of all your bin count tasks. Like I said before, there are, even if you're WMS, you should see some records here for your like route count-ins. But what we'll focus on are the non-WMS inventory count types. To create them, all you have to do is click the Add Bin Count Task button. You'll notice there's a warning at the top. It says warning. Creating a bin count task without filters may result in a longer reconciliation time. What we mean by that is these filters listed below are not required. So you can create a bin count task that, and what the system will do is create it for all of the products that you have inventory for in your warehouse. The issue with that is that could take a very long time to complete. If this is something that you want to do, during your work hours, to be uninterrupted to ensure accuracy, you probably want to break it down into smaller, more easily completable portions. That way you can ensure accuracy, lower the chances of error, of people getting interrupted, because work happens, things happen. Also, during reconciliation, if you see huge variances, you probably want to go and recount that because you're like, we probably aren't 20,000 cases off on a product. Maybe something got typoed. But if you have a long list of it, it'll take longer. It'll draw everything out, again, increasing the chances of errors and lowering the chances of accuracy. So we recommend using these filters to try to create smaller, more manageable batches. As you can see, we have supplier, brand, product type. Maybe you want to just count kegs today. You can set that as if you have a product type or a package set up of kegs. If you want to count a specific bin, a product, maybe you only want to do 50 counts. In this case, and you can also assign it to one of your workers. So this is usually more for a supervisor role, manager role, to give the work to your warehouse team. In this case, let's do an example. Just today we want to count a specific supplier. We'll do this when Cloud Brewing. Add bin count task. So now we see that the bin count task is created. It's currently assigned to me because I didn't enter anybody else. There's a subtable, what's called bin counts. This shows you more of the, all the products that you're expected to count. So here we have about 6 or so products that we have inventory for that are connected to the supplier we chose. And so we can go out and count these products. We do greatly recommend counting on the handheld. Obviously, it's your business decision if you can or cannot have handhelds in the warehouse, but we highly recommend it because if you're in front of the product and you're able to enter the count as you're doing it in front of the product, it just lowers the chance of errors and increases accuracy. Writing it on paper, handing it to somebody else, and somebody else writing it, typing it into the system, you can lead to typos. Somebody may not be able to read a number. We're just promoting the highest chance of accuracy and success. Now we'll talk about the WMS inventory count. We have what's called ad hoc inventory counts. That just means on the fly. On the handheld, you can be in front of a bin and start an inventory count without having to do much entry by any means. So we have two options for that. One is called inventory count. The other is warehouse search. We'll take a look at how that looks on the handheld in a moment. Inventory count is more of you start from a bin, you scan a product, you enter it. So that's like when you're just in front of a bin, you're like, hey, let me see what we have of this. This is like an important product. Warehouse search is you can start from a product, see where it's located, see all the places that it's located in the warehouse, go to that location, click on it, and you can do an inventory count. Also within warehouse search, you can update UPCs, product dimensions, configurations, and code date information. So let's take a look at how that looks on the app. So we'll start with inventory count. So once you click on inventory count, you'll be asked which adjustment bin would you like the variances to go to. So the variances are the differences between what the system thinks you have versus what you enter as the inventory. So that's the stuff you're either writing off or writing in. So you can scan if you have a scanner, and you can also type out the bin name. In this case, I'll use an example bin A16E. And then it'll ask you to scan the pallet tag or UPC. If you're ever confused as to like, what am I supposed to do next? Usually above in the app, above the text box to type in, there's gray lettering that kind of tells you what to do. In this case, we're going to use that example product that we've been talking about, that pumpkin spice seltzer. Now it's ready for me to enter the count. So what it has is we're telling the system that in this specific bin, A16E, for product pumpkin spice seltzer, how much inventory do we have? As I spoke earlier about those pallet configurations that live on the purchase transactions as well as the product, here are those tabs I was talking about. So again, these show up because those records still exist. It's about 6 months that we hold on to that information before it drops off. So usually if the supplier stops sending it to you, a year ago, you'll no longer see this, one of these tabs or whichever tab that was or configuration that was after about 6 months. But just in case you do have still pallets of both, you can jump between, you can do a count of one, enter it, go back in, do a count of the other. So that way you're not trying to just enter manual cases. So in this case, let's say we only have the 104 cases per pallet, 13 layers. Let's say, you know what, in reality, we have 3 pallets, 2 layers. The system will do the calculation for you, so you're not trying to enter the cases. Sometimes you have to, given if you're picking, by the case and whatnot, you may not have full layers. You may have to type in, 1 pallet, and then we have like 2 layers and 3 cases. But the system should be able to do the calculation for you as long as your pallet configuration is correct, and you can check here on these grayed out boxes, yep, 104, 13, that's correct. Click next. You do have the ability, if you have other products in that bin, to count those as well, but you don't have to. Next, we'll look at the warehouse search counting functionality. This is great for in situations where maybe sales snuck into the warehouse and was trying to grab a hot shot and just left it on the floor somewhere. So like you're driving around and you noticed one of these pumpkin spice seltzers just sitting maybe in a lane or off to a side, and you're like, what's going on? Why is that there? You can go into warehouse search, scan the product or type it in, and the system will tell you all the active bin locations that you have this product in. So that way you'd be like, all right, I need to return this to its home because we don't know why it's here, who put it here, nobody's around. So you can, physically pick it up, go to A16E. If you want to at this point, I mean, it's telling you what the current inventory the system shows it is. You can do a quick count, put it on there, or if you need to say, oh, wow, I know this inventory is wrong, or this is going to add one, Once you select the bin, you can do an inventory count from there, and it'll bring you to the same screen that we just saw, where you type in the count and you're done. You can also do a move if it was like, oh, I just did a one case move from A11F, or you're moving from A16E to A11F, so on and so forth. There's also bin history. This is much like that bin audit dashboard that we saw earlier, where it's showing you the bin trans in a kind of quick, easy view, being like, why is there 300 instead of 500? Oh, Jarvis just did an inventory adjustment account on it, which could lead you to go talk to me. I'm Jarvis, but go talk to the employee that did it if need be, or correct it. Also, actually, that edit pencil in the top, I'll show it to you again. This is a great way of, if you scan that product, it says no product found. You know what this product is. You know it's 3232. You can enter that in, say, I need to get UPC tagged on this so that I can scan it, make it a lot easier to do with it. That can be done through this edit pencil. You can do an edit UPC, add UPC, update the height, the product dimensions. This comes into play for palletization. Edit the pallet configuration, or edit code date information. So now we'll go into what we call WMS directed inventory counting. This can be done through the creation of WMS inventory count plans. What that means is you can create these plans to match your counting schedule. This will help you can set it up to create auto-generated tasks at specific times, or you can manually create tasks based on your plan parameters. This will be done using the WMS inventory count plans table, as well as the WMS inventory count rules table, which we'll take a look at right now. So this is the WMS inventory count plans table. The setup for this, you can create a name, which should be very descriptive to what you're trying to do. So that way, if you need to create a plan or some bin count tasks on the fly from the handheld, that it's easily, you can choose it and know what you're doing. A very important field is the count method, which we'll talk about here in a moment. You also have the adjustment bin, so that's where your variances will go, your differences between the system and what you count. Obviously, location would be your warehouse location. These two fields, day of week and start time, those would be needed if you were trying to have the system automatically generate them for that time. So, you can have your worker go like just automatically into it at, say, 7 a.m. and go start counting what you set up the rules to do. So the count methods we have four. So we've created an example of each. One count method is the most active bins. That's just how it sounds. Say you've got 5 bins that these are the most active. We're picking from the most. These are in essence, the product that we sell the most of. So inventory is very, very, very important on those because people want this product. You want to make sure that if you have product, your sales people are able to sell it. And vice versa. You don't want them selling it when you don't have it, causing possibilities of mispicks or, picker cuts, sending workers to areas that don't have the product. We also have the highest picker cut. So the system captures when a picker has to cut a product, during picking. So if you consider these as the problem areas, it's like, all right, we can set up the system to look at that and send the counters to these bins and these products to ensure that they're counted, because we seem to have issues with our inventory with this bins and products. We also have time since last count. This is held on the bin inventories table, another reason why I like that table a lot. But the system will look at, hey, you haven't counted this in a month or so, and the rest you've counted within a day. Let's focus on those and get those counted, because maybe they need a little inventory count love as well. And also largest variance. So this is for what products have the largest quantities in the adjustment bin. So say somebody just accidentally put in the wrong inventory count, or something that caused the adjustment bin to have 20,000 cases for one product. The system will look at that and say, all right, we need to count this product and send you to all the bins that have this product, because it's probably not necessarily true that you have 20,000 cases off, what you thought you had. So the next table that we're going to look at is the WMS inventory count rules. And what the rules do is they actually define, they're the filters on what directed inventory bin count tasks are going to create. So in essence, it tells you what products and bins you're going to count. So we have some example rules already created for this example plan. As you can see, we have some of these filters. You've got brand, bin zone, bin, product type, supplier, so on and so forth. Let you guys look into that at your own. But in this case, we've set up, we want to count this specific bin zone. So like the flow rack, and also only for the supplier of New Belgium. It's tied to the count method of last time, or time since last count. So what the system will do is generate these bin count tasks for all the bins that are specifically in this bin zone, the flow rack, and all the products that are specifically tied to New Belgium. So that way, what's really nice about, further defining these directed inventory counts is that you're batching these counts into more manageable and more efficient and effective groups, so that, like we said before, you can get them done accurately. You're less chance of getting interrupted, increase your chance of, like I said, accuracy, and lower chance of error. Something that's really cool too is the start bin sequence, end bin sequence. You can set these up for different days. So like you could say Tuesday, I want to count bin sequences 1 through 20. And Wednesday, I want to count 21 through 50. You would set up 2 different plans and 2 different rules to, be able to effectively do these. So then you can start to, schedule your warehouse, schedule your teams to do how you believe you can do it accurately and efficiently. Now we'll talk about specialty bin zones. Customers use specialty bin zones to ensure that they also have accurate inventory data. What I mean by that is we have what's called the breakage and repack processes, which I'm sure some of you have some awareness of. We do have breakage and repack dashboards, not necessarily needed, just more of understanding how they work is, I believe, efficient enough. And what you have is you have 2 different bins. You have a breakage bin and a repack bin. Never should product move between those 2. And how we handle that is you should always move broken product into the breakage bin. And then you should always move product, newly created product out of the repack bin. So what's happening there is you're increasing the breakage bins inventory, and you're driving the repack bins inventory negative, because there shouldn't be any product in repack to pull out of. And what they do is they should offset each other when you're ready to write them off. And what happens is you've got like a 24 pack that gets broken, or maybe a couple cans broke or whatever. You put that whole product into the breakage bin, you repack it. Maybe you have the same brand, that same liquid, in a 20 pack or an 18 pack. You remake that into that 18 pack. So you've got one of that 24 pack in, and now you've remade that 18 pack, and you've just did a put away and moved it onto the line to be picked. You drove that negative. There'll be a little difference in the valuation between the 2, because you do have those 2 cans of breakage. So when you want to report on this, you want to give it a little time, because then you'll accurately see the difference. And the difference should be that actual broken product, because you're writing in the good product, writing out the bad. Difference is the actual breakage. You also can have like a QA area. This is really good for production customers as well, but I'm sure distributors have it and anybody else can have it as well. This binge zone should have a backstock type, so that way you're not picking or replenishing to it. It should have the field include in on-floor inventory equals false. That way you're not overstating your inventory to sales. So say you have 1,000 cases in your QA waiting for whatever QA you want to do to it. You don't want sales selling it because you're not ready to sell it. You have other areas such as, maybe automated racking if you have cranes or other automations within your warehouse. Flow racks to separate for counting and replenishment. Flow racks are kind of the ones that don't move as much, so they don't need to take up, a huge bin for the higher moving products. You may have layer or high volume bin zones where you just want to pick by the layer. It doesn't need to be in a normal pick bin. I just want it when we have a full layer, let's pick it. We've got layer pickers. Also, like a high proof or a high value area. High proof could be stuff of high alcohol content that might be flammable, and there might be laws and rules that regulate where it can be stored and how it can be stored, as well as the high value where it's just too expensive to leave out for somebody to wander off with. It's better to lock it up. It's better to have it more controlled. And we have a field, we have what's called slotting types to help these products define that they can only move and be picked from certain areas. So that way, a high value or dangerous or high proof product can't just accidentally get moved or replenished to a normal pick line. Now we're going to go over some reporting overview.
Jarvis, I'm going to pause you for just a second. I've got a couple questions for you.
Of course.
This one's going to take us backwards just a little bit, but this is about the count screen where we're putting in the number of pallets, layers, cases.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be generally smarter to only ever type in cases and not pallets or layers to avoid errors? So what's the benefit of us having that pallets and layers?
It's so I would say that there are benefits here, and really it's a personal preference for you. You have the ability to enter just cases on that screen. You don't have to enter pallets. It's a way to, some people say, oh, this is what I want. I have 5 pallets here. I can see that they're full. I know that I looked at, if you saw the above, let's do that product real quick. I'll show you right now. So we get there. So if you see this, the cases per pallet and the cases per layer fields right here, if you've looked and you identified, yes, this is the correct pallet configuration, and I see that there are 5 pallets in front of me that are full, some say that it would be easier and accurate that I just enter 5 instead of trying to do the math in my head, which can also lead to, just chances of error. So it's really a personal preference. You are not prevented from entering these cases here. And yeah, it's really, if you are a, supervisor and you want to say, hey, this is how I want you to do it. But you just have the option. So it's completely user preference. We just give the ability for you to do it as needed. We just do recommend that if you are using pallets and layers to be entered, that you do glance at the cases per pallet, cases per layer above, just to make sure you are comfortable and confident before you enter those.
And then second question for you, it's about those specialty bins. If we put products under QA, is it considered a write-off? An example is recall products.
Uh, Completely up to your business. It's how you've set up the bin and how you've set up the bin zone and how you want it to function. So like we said on the slide, we recommend that you put include an on-floor inventory equals false. So it really, from there, it's really up to your business how you want to handle it. Um, it's a bin that you should be able to, if you need to write it off, you can write it off through the inventory bins report, um, filtering to it. So if it's not something like, oh, I got to move this to adjustment before I do it, but completely up to your business need.
Perfect. Thank you. That's all I have so far.
Okay. So now for a basic reporting overview, we have a great dashboard called Inventory Control, which is a great starting point for supervisors or managers. Uh, we'll look at that dashboard in a moment, but it has great links to some great canned reports. It's a system dashboard, which means it's something that we provide to everybody. Dashboards can be saved and adjusted and customized to meet your needs. We won't go over that in this, but that's something that can happen. Those canned reports that I mentioned that we have links to on that dashboard, they are great. They're very simplified. They have really fast run times, fast refresh, easy to change, easy to use. So we recommend starting with those, and we'll take a look at those in a moment as well. And then once you get more comfortable and confident, you can dive into the report library that holds canned reports, but plus Fusion reports, which is a powerful reporting platform that it's more complex, but it's highly customizable for advanced reporting, and we'll take a look at that as well. So this is the inventory control dashboard. I know I had these tabs open already. All of them you can search for within your universal search bar. So inventory control, it should be under dashboards. It'll take you to this dashboard. So as I mentioned before, it's got some great links at the top to recommended canned reports, as well as some on the side. It has a default view of the bin count tasks table. So if you're, want to see what your team is doing with in terms of bin count tasks, so directed for WMS customers, that's the route count-ins, during the route reconciliation process for the trucks. That's the directed inventory counts. And of course, for our non-WMS, that's should be your recommended workflow for the creation of inventory counts, so you can see what's happening with those and see the status. So something I didn't touch on was status. It's really good to see, hey, I see Jarvis has a bunch assigned to him. He has not completed it. We're at a time of the day that, I would expect it. So that can help drive conversations of like, what's going on? Do you need help? Let's get these done. And it'll help with your next step with your investigation or resolutions. Also, it has a nice, convenient process of if you have the WMS directed inventory count plans and rules set up, how to create them on the fly from the handheld. So let's take a look at the inventory status report first. It's a canned report that's really helpful to help keep track of inventory and see the status of a product through the life cycle of Encompass. So I won't go through all the filters here, but let's look back at the product that we've been looking at, that pumpkin spice. Let's see, did I get it right? The pumpkin spice seltzer, and see what this report has to offer. So right now on the upper left, we've got all the columns showing. So I'll just quickly describe what they mean. You'll have your starting inventory on the left, then it goes into purchases, and purchases are what you're expected to receive of that product, during a certain time frame. The invoices are what's, product going out, loaded, again, what's the product going out, what's been picked, delivered, unsellable. So could be like that QA, it could be what's in, breakage. You have what is considered on floor, which should be shown on the inventory table. Also pre-sales. Pre-sales are what the salesmen are currently doing. So any invoice that they've created that's in the new status. Also allocated. This comes into play when your company has set up allocations. Sometimes that restricts like the selling of products to certain customers. So that's usually a question that comes up. It's like, hey, I know I have 100 cases of this product in inventory. I see it. The salesman's calling in and saying, I show you have 0. They may have an allocation that's preventing, it might be allocated to a different customer and may just be allocated to say that customer can't buy it. And then it ends with the available. This should be what, in reality, the salespeople see that they can sell this product. So the next report that we highly recommend using and is linked on this dashboard is the inventory bins report, one that we've actually looked at a few times. This is the one that we looked at when we say, hey, keep an eye on your receiving bin. This is a report view of the bin inventories table. So it's also a report that I like a lot. This report will show you all the bins that you have inventory for your products. So let's again look at the specific product, the pumpkin spice seltzer. We were like, hey, I don't want to go to the table. I want to see in a report, easily viewable, where I have this pumpkin spice product located. So I didn't do anything with any other of the filters, but you can look at those when you get a chance, and we can see all the bins that have inventory for this product. We were using A16E as an example earlier and doing counts in it so we can see the inventory after those counts that I did. You can also see what these are most likely route bins. So if you're like, hey, I'm pretty sure I loaded the 13 on, truck 204. Yep, it's there, so on and so forth. You can see what's in your adjustment bin. You can see what's in your receiving bin, all of that. You can also filter, like I said before, to specific bins, also bin zone types. If you're just like, I only care about what's in my pick bins, so on and so forth. And kind of like we just mentioned before with that QA, is this something that is expected to be written off? You can or you can't. It's up to you. You can filter to that bin and you can do an inventory write-off through here.
Question
So,
for you, Jarvis.
yes,
Are these reports limited by user location?
they can be. Yes. So here you do have options for location. That's more for, if supervisors or management that has all locations permissions, they can define it here. So canned reports are built in with that filter already.
So if somebody has only permissions to view one location, would this report automatically only show them the one location they have permission for?
Correct.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. So once you're, more comfortable and confident, those 2 reports are highly recommended to use to start off with, to, get comfortable and confident with. And once you're ready to kind of go forth, we have what's called the report library. Amazing dashboard. It's a home for all sorts of other reports. Includes a lot of fusions. As you see on the top, we've got all these tabs. In this case, you'd want to go to the operations reports. Go through. We've got subcategories, picking inventory. Obviously, that's the most applicable in this space. These are things that you can go through. You can hover over and read the description. You can go into to see, is this something that you feel has value to you that you want to springboard? They're also customizable. So although Fusion is more complex and more advanced and also more powerful, we have recommended trainings, to help get you familiar with how to use them. Those are the Fusion level 1 and level 2s, but they're the things that we see people using, to help with their inventory management. One that we also see used a lot that's in a different category of other is the transfer variance report. That's used if you've got multiple warehouses and locations within Encompass and you transfer products between them. It's a really good tool that will show you when you loaded X amount of products and then at one location, and then when they received it at another location, it was a different amount. This is an easy and clear way of seeing that. So you can address those differences immediately instead of down the road being like, this something's not matching up. We got rid of 100 cases, we transferred 100 cases, but 50 were received. Like, and do it in like we've been saying, these manageable batches. Do this in keep an eye on it as you do them, and it's a lot easier to investigate and correct instead of down the road when it's a lot harder. All right, so into best practices. Always recommend that you tell Encompass what you're doing. When you physically move, physically count, pick anything, Encompass needs to know what you're doing, or else it will never know what you're doing. It can't read minds. And what we say is, good information in results in good results out. So we always want to stress that. Of course, there's times, your business needs dictate what you have to do, but we always recommend do work in the system as you're doing it physically. And as mentioned before, break the processes into completable steps. Create the batches small, get comfortable and confident that you are able to complete them in, accurate and efficiently. And then if you feel like your business, we can do more, then scale up and start doing, bigger counts and things of that nature. And also measure, then manage. Create processes that leave reportable data points. And what we mean by that is, your warehouse. This is your business. You control when you schedule the counts. You control how frequently you do write-offs. If you do write-offs, once every few months, it gets really hard to investigate why you have 1,000 cases in your adjustment bin. Doing it more frequently will help, with memories are more fresh. People know what they were doing yesterday or why something happened, or, oh, this was a miscount. It really helps drive for accuracy. And again, your business, using these tools, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and applying them accordingly as you see fit. So that's all I have today. Thank you for your time. Now, any more questions?
Don't see any quite yet. I'll leave a couple minutes here for people to throw those in. And while you're typing those in there, I just want to thank everybody for joining today for this Skills Kickstart session. Thank you, Jarvis, for presenting for us, giving us lots of great information. We do have more sessions coming up, so highly recommend you check out that e-learning dashboard for more sessions we have scheduled for this month, and more coming after that. After the session ends today, there will be a short survey that pops up. It's 3 quick questions. We'd really appreciate your feedback on there. This session will be on our recording archive dashboard if you want to come back and watch it again later. That should be up by the end of the day today. And I don't see any other questions coming through yet. We'll give everybody about 30 more seconds and then we'll go ahead and wrap up.
Thanks again.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your day.